Good, happy Saturday. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Saturday edition of WRMK News 12. It's Saturday, October 25th, 2025. We have a lot of news to get to on this Saturday, so let's begin right now. First up, New Hampshire lawmakers urge bipartisan action as federal shutdown drags on. As the federal government shutdown stretches into another week, New Hampshire's congressional delegation is calling for bipartisan cooperation to resolve the impasse and prevent future strain on families and federal workers across the state. At the heart of the standoff is a dispute over the extension of Affordable Care Act premium tax credits, which are set to expire at the end of the year. The credits lower and, in some cases, eliminate health care costs for thousands of Granite Staters enrolled in ACA coverage. Democrats say extending those subsidies is essential before any deal to reopen the government can move forward. Republicans, meanwhile, maintain that budget negotiations should resume only after the government is reopened. I work for people who are feeling the pain right now of high healthcare costs and uncertainty that has been provision from day one of this administration, said Rep. Maggie Goodlander, a Democrat of New Hampshire. That uncertainty has only intensified in this shutdown. The shutdown also threatening critical food assistance programs, including the Supplement Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. If the slit mate continues, benefits could lapse for tens of thousands of New Hampshire residents. In response, the state announced a temporary plan to expand food access through its network of food pantries, pending approval from the Fiscal Committee and Executive Council. If these tax credits don't get extended and fewer people can afford their insurance, that's going to further undermine the entire care system, said Maggie Hassan, a Democrat of New Hampshire. Federal workers face uncertainty at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, where roughly 7,000 federal employees remain on the job without pay. Anxiety is growing despite the shutdown. The shipyard continues operating, sustaining vital projects such as submarine construction. They have to maintain their highest level of performance, which can be difficult when they aren't getting a paycheck and don't know when you will, said Paul O'Connor, executive board member of the Seacoast Shipyard Association. How are you going to feed your family? According to the association, community members have been donating to support affected workers, with some individuals contributing thousands of dollars out of pocket to help cover basic needs. There's real anxiety out there about this going and how it can be that people are working but not being paid, said Andy Roy, also an executive board member of the association. O'Connor added that workers want more than temporary relief. They're being forced to work, he said. They want Congress to work. Republican response. In a statement to WRMK News 12, the New Hampshire Republican Party accused Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan of prolonging what it called the Schemer shutdown. As Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan enabled the Schemer shutdown, it's New Hampshire families who will pay the price, said NHGOP chairman. Shaheen and Hassan should stop putting partisan politics over people and reopen our federal government now. Republicans argue that the ongoing shutdown is delaying essential programs, including SNAP benefits for more than 75,000 Granite Staters, and that Democrats should prioritize reopening the government before addressing border policy goals. Shaheen pushes for bipartisan deal to end shutdown, cites impact on Trump-leaning states. U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, a Democrat of New Hampshire, is working with small bipartisan groups of lawmakers to end the ongoing federal government shutdown, arguing that both parties have a responsibility to reopen the government and address rising healthcare costs. Shaheen, who was among a handful of Democrats who voted with Republicans earlier this year to avert a previous shutdown, said she is now engaging in quite negotiations with GOP senators to find a compromise. A key sticking point remains the extension of Affordable Care Act ACA premium tax credits, which are set to expire at the end of the year. Those subsidies, Shaheen noted, disproportionately benefits residents of states that voted for President Donald Trump. His pollster, John, has said if the GOP doesn't fix this, they're in a real trouble come next November, Shaheen said. When asked why the shutdown continues if Republicans remain unwilling to negotiate, Shaheen said both reopening the government and addressing health care costs should be possible. I continue to believe that we ought to be able to do both, she said. We ought to be able to get the government open, keep it open, and we also want to make sure that people can afford their health insurance. Without congressional action, ACA tax credits will expire, leading to higher premiums for millions of Americans. Meanwhile, the efforts of the government shutdown are growing, with federal employees missing paychecks and public programs facing disruptions. Shaheen said she hopes lawmakers can build consensus and present a bipartisan proposal to leadership. What we're hoping is that we can come to some agreement among members that we can then present to leadership and say, look, this is something we think we ought to be able to agree to. Now, let's vote on it. However, she acknowledged that political dynamics within the Republican Party could complicate the effort. When asked what would happen if Trump intervenes and tells Republicans not to compromise, Shaheen said that remains a significant challenge. That's That's the challenge, she said. That's why I say it's really important for the president to be involved in discussion. There are a lot of people, particularly in the House, where Speaker Johnson has kept the House out of session since September. They want to hear what the president has to say. Officials warn of Jerry Duty phone scam targeting Granite Staters. A New Hampshire residents are being warned about a new phone scam in which callers falsely claim that a person has missed jury duty and an arrest warrant has been issued. Ryan Lazinski of Merrimack County said he recently received one of those calls from an unknown number. The caller identified himself as Captain Corey from the Merrimack County Sheriff's Office and claimed Lukzinski had missed jury duty, resulting in a bench warrant for his arrest. This scammer then sent what appeared to be official documents, including a copy of the supposed warrant and missed jury notice, followed by instructions for Lukzinski to pay a 3,500 bail bond to clear the issue. The caller directed him to purchase the bond from a local Walgreens, which raised immediate red flags. If something doesn't feel right and it's sending you a sense of urgency, you have to immediately relax and validate the source, said Nancy, the Assistant Attorney General. Lukzinski said he was at a police department when he confronted the caller, who quickly hung up. According to officials, the court system never requests payment over the phone or through third parties. Any legitimate court communications regarding missed jury duty or warrants would arrive through certified mail or in person visit. My office or any law enforcement office would never call anyone and say that you need to make a payment to clear a warrant, said Merrimack County Sheriff David Croft. That is completely fraudulent. Luzinski said he shared his experience to warn others about how convincing the scam can appear. I'm not surprised this is happening, he said, but the level of detail and accuracy these folks had took it to another level. State officials urge residents to report suspected scams to New Hampshire Consumer Protection Bureau, which investigates fraud and scam activity statewide. Pentagon accepts anonymous 130 million donations to support troops aimed shut down. The Pentagon confirmed Friday that it has received an anonymous 130 million donation intended to help pay U.S. service members if the government shutdown continues. The total cost maintaining troops' pay during the shutdown is estimated at 6.8 billion. In a statement, Pentagon chief spokesman said the Department of Defense accepted the donation on Thursday under its General Gift Acceptance Authority. The funds were given on the condition that they be used specifically to offset the cost of service members' salaries and benefits. There are approximately 2 million service members who could go without pay if the shutdown persists, the statement noted. Earlier this month, the Trump administration reallocated existing funds with the Pentagon's nearly 1 trillion budget to ensure troops received their paychecks. However, officials warned that those resources are limited, prompting the unprecedented private donation to help budget potential funding gaps. And that does it for this Saturday edition of WRMK News 12. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.